Eric. I'm an oil painter based out of Chicago here. Most of my paintings are in oil. They deal with a lot of space, and some of the materials I use are string and thread and fabrics, wood to kind of describe the space.
Come on up to the house.
My roots in art kind of, I guess, come from when I was young. I used to spend weekends and stuff with my aunt, who was a graphic designer. We would get to be able to use a lot of her materials. So I remember sitting there with like design markers, drawing all the time. As well as then once I was like a teenager, my brother, he's still a painter in Denver. And so he kind of always kept me inspired. Being a couple years older, he always looked up to your brother.
Come on up to the house.
Kind of tell you a little bit about my process. Being an oil painter, it's pretty traditional. I don't really step out of the tradition, applying the paint to canvas. But my process of coming up with my images is becoming more and more unique. Most recently, my newest series of work is dealing with the interior spaces that I started on about 4 or 5 years ago while living in Sweden. But I kind of ran dry on my images and my ideas, so I started to use Google Images to produce digital collages, and then working from these digital collages, I'm transferring those then into oil paint. So through each step, these rooms that once were very realistic photographs of rooms are actually becoming slightly more abstract and removed from reality. One of the unique things that I use in a lot of my paintings is fabrics and thread and such. I don't really know where it all came from. I know the use of patterns kind of came back to me. Maybe where I was inspired by a couple years ago is my grandparents. They used to have this wallpaper in their hallways that was just a flat mat with raised, like velvety surface pattern. That's actually one of my really vivid childhood memories, and oddly it's a pattern. And that same type of pattern and motif has kind of snuck itself back into my work nowadays. The rooms or the architectural spaces that I'm working with right now, they started to come into my work after I started to travel a lot, and I found myself living in Germany, and then I moved to Sweden, and now I'm here in Chicago. I think it's a way to kind of make order from foreign things that I wasn't understanding. I know there's a strong architectural quality behind all my work, but I've always, in the last few years, I've been kind of interested in the picture window that, if you go back to the caves of Lascaux, they were very flat, straight on the surface, and then, they kind of got a little deeper, and then you kind of layered things to kind of create space, and then you got the Renaissance window, and then it kind of got a little distorted here and there, and then Picasso kind of, shattered it up. And so in my work, I kind of am reacting and thinking about a lot of this flux between shallow space and deep space to create a lot of tension. So some of the elements in my paintings are very much on the surface, very flat. Other parts are really trying to pull you back in, is to really create more tension and interest in the work. What I am looking forward to here in Chicago, as well as what Bolt Residency and CAC can do for me, is really establish myself as a painter, really find some people that are really interested in what I'm doing as a painter and starting to really understand what it is that I'm after. But then on the business side, having moved and traveled and all that, every single time I've moved, I always kind of start to build something, and then I move, and so it's kind of uprooting it, and I kind of have to start this whole business practice, that whole professional practice, over and over again. So I think CAC can really help me professionalize my practice on the business end and making sure that I'm doing all those proper right things to make sure that I'm not just meeting my artistic expectations, but also the expectations of what's around me, you know, if it's a gallery owner or a collector, or even just my peers that, you know, are maybe seeking information from me. I like to reward those, you know, viewers that come to my painting and see it, okay, it's an architectural room, big deal. But maybe there's a color, there's a shape that draws them in enough, and if they don't walk away, they take the 30 seconds or so, and all right, you know, that's what I really like, and that's what I envision people doing with my work. And then after they're, you know, kind of invested that 30 seconds in, you know, quick society nowadays, 30 seconds is a lot, that I think they can start to build their own narrative and building the relationships between the symbols and the space that I've set up. If I've done a successful job, I think I can lead them to a general mood or an atmosphere, or general point.